First, it was the general manager for the LA Sparks, and now we have a security guard in Wisconsin getting caught up because they use the N word, quote unquote. And this story is extra jacked up. Let's get into it. And it's being brought to us by, of all places, CNN, because they love their racial stories, now don't they? An African American security guard asked a student not to call him the N word. That request got him fired. This is written by Sheena Jones and Leah Asmalash. That's a fun name. An African American security guard told a student to stop calling him the N word. It cost him his job. Marlon Anderson was a security guard at Madison West High School in Wisconsin. Last Wednesday, he was called in to help the assistant principal escort a student from school grounds, he told CNN. The student was resisting, including yelling and pushing the principal. Anderson called for backup, and the student started yelling expletives at him, including the racial slur, Anderson said. At first, Anderson said he asked the student to stop calling him that, without saying the word, but the student continued to call him different variations of the word. I'm sorry. I have a whole bunch of Nazi for YouTube terms going off in my head right now. Finally, Anderson said he responded, "Don't call me. They call me Mr. Tibbs." Okay. That's the comment that got him fired. Not the Mr. Tibbs ones, the "don't call me N-word." A zero tolerance policy. When contacted for comment, the school did not respond directly to Anderson's firing, but said it had a zero tolerance policy for the use of racial slurs. I'm curious what happened to the student. Aren't you? "We are working to make our school climates the best they can be for all students and staff," said Gloria Reyes, president of the Madison Board of Education, in a statement. "We've taken a tough stance on racial slurs, and we believe that language has no place in schools." Once again, kind of curious about that student, but he's probably already going down, seeing how he was fighting with the principals and everything. But Anderson doesn't agree with the policy. No, Anderson, it's called equality, brother. "The district just wants you to say you can't use this word, period," he told CNN. These policies are hurting the kids and staff. Without context, this isn't helpful. It's more hurtful. Well, as far as context go, don't we have February for them to learn all the context? Why do you think the kid was yelling at you? The kid was yelling it at you. The kid perfectly knew well what the context of the word was. He was trying to insult you. And the deal is that Mr. Anderson, you can't let him get under your skin like that. It's one of the reasons I do not give that word power. It's a very individual thing. And I understand I am alone on an island when it comes to this, but I feel if you give that word that type of power, bad things happen. If you let the use of that word get underneath your skin, it causes you to make terrible decisions. The same way that Mr. Anderson did. Instead of keeping his professionalism about him, he was like, "Stop calling me nigga," and it came back and bit him in the behind. And I'm not sitting here saying that I believe in freedom of speech. I don't believe that a Caucasian security guard should be fired for saying it because particularly when it's being used against them. I believe in an eye for an eye, but I also am very aware of the climate that we live in, where it is a matter of professionalism to not use such language. So, to an extent, Mr. Anderson, I really feel like you need to own a little bit of this. Well, I do not believe that he should have lost his job. Reprimand him, give him a little slap on the wrist, like, "Hey, man, you can't say it out loud." like, regardless, you're supposed to be the adult. You're supposed to be the professional in this situation. So I get it, but trust me, Mr. Anderson ain't hurting. He all right. They got mad love for him. The school board plans on reviewing their approach, Reyes continued in the statement. Anderson is represented by a union, which filed a grievance with the school district this week on his behalf. He's seeking reinstatement and back pay, according to a statement from the union. Anderson had been working at the school district for 11 years. He has two sons who attended Madison West High School. One is a current senior, and the other is a graduate of the high school. Anderson isn't without his supporters, though. The Boys and Girls Club of Dane County hired Anderson as its temporary director of program operations. See, I told you, they got mad love for him, so it's not like they leaving him to twist in the wind. In a Facebook post announcing the hire, the nonprofit wrote that Anderson has an amazing track record with local teens, and I don't doubt that at all. All right. CNN affiliate WKOW reported that Madison West students staged a walkout on Friday in support of Anderson. Oh, see that brings a little tug to the heart, you know. And if that wasn't enough, singer Cher even offered to pay his legal fees if he chooses to sue. So he even has Cher, "Do you believe in love?" coming out and saying, "Yeah, this is kind of messed up." Let's go into the video that CNN's produced to go alongside this article.
Passion. I love kids. If anyone knows the power of words to light up a student's world, it's Marlon Anderson. I always say things.
I saw what you did there, CNN. You're like, to light up a student's world, and then they lit put the whole lighting there. Oh, y'all are so corny.
It's like, you the best, you the greatest. It's one word he said. I do not feel that is fair. That got him fired from his job as a security assistant at West High School.
Now here's the deal. I get it. I completely get it. I told in the other story that I did about the Sparks general manager, I made it clear, like, I actually was in a situation where I got reprimanded for using the word, and it blew my mind because I'm like, yo, I'm black. This is one of the few things that we get. But that was even before President Obama. So we now live in a post-Obama world, and I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry, other melanated people, but no, if you we no longer have that part of our freedom of speech, at least in a professional setting. All right, when it comes to work, when it comes to the job, nah, you can't just be wilding out and saying it like that because you'll end up in this situation.
Made a conscious decision to address the word because it is an epidemic. Our kids.
It's an epidemic facilitated by those of us with similar complexions here, bruh. All right, let's not sit here and act like, oh yeah, we didn't like we didn't have any part in it becoming a part of the mainstream vernacular. So take it easy on that, all right?
Kids use it just every day. Anderson says a student who was refusing to leave the school pushed the assistant principal, so he felt it was his job to help. That's when the student said this. He called me a BIT, S-N-word. Anderson says no.
He called him a band. He called him bitch ass nigga. That's what he called him.
No other staff member told the student to stop, and he only said the N-word to tell the student to stop calling him that. You have no tolerance for.
You know what I'm reminded of? I'm reminded of that Boondocks episode where he's like, yo, he says it all the time. He even calls me it. He even calls me it. He was like, one time he asked the brother, he was like, hey, can I get a French fry? And I was thinking to myself, well, how is a nigga going to borrow a fry?
Word, but yet you allow a student to call me that word over 15 times without correcting that behavior. It's the zero tolerance policy for staff saying the racial slur that got Anderson fired, a policy he wants the district to look at. It's lazy. It's lazy. He says when it comes to using the word, context is everything. My father.
That's the thing though, and I explained this before. The child had the context because he knew he was just trying to insult you. Like, and I do think that it's so part of the lexicon that they're not even thinking of it in that manner. That's not the way that they see the word. And you got all these people who want to get butthurt about the word, and that's really what got you tripped up in the first place. The same feelings that you're displaying right now are a big part of the reason why you got fired, my guy. Because, oh my goodness, no one can say that word. It's so scary and so evil. And it's just like, bro, there's real things going on. Like me, I believe in physical pain, okay? Like emotional pain, stuff like that, not particularly my forte. Like, I get it. I try to sympathize, but for the most part, like, no, it's more about the physical pain. But the deal is that you have a lot of people who want to sit here and talk about emotional trauma and all this other stuff. Then guess what, bro? It's going to come back and bite you in the ass. Everything that you sit there and advocate for will come back, and you gotta think about the entire 360 view of it, because you're only looking at it from one way. When you sit here and say, oh my goodness, there's so much pain behind this word, there's so much intolerance behind this word. I'm sorry, but the 18, 20-year-old is not, just by virtue of the time that they come up in, is not gonna understand the like, oh, that all that pain that you talk of, particularly when it is such a big part of the culture and such a big part of the lexicon.
It was called a swear. My grandmother, my grandfather, and keep going on down the family line. We will all call this word, and not one of them.
Oh my God, CNN and you and your crying Negroes oh my goodness. This is why CNN ran the story, because they're going to have this man come up here. Oh, my grandmother, my grandfather. And Mr. Anderson, I'm sorry, you're really losing a lot of respect from me right now. And it's simply because it's a word, bruh. That's it. The word only has the power that you give it, and it only had the power your grandmother gave it. It only had the power your grandfather gave it. And at some point down the line, somebody should have been like, "Look, we got bigger problems than this word. Let's not who cares, man?" Because it's a matter of if somebody can say a word and really make you come up out of yourself, then it's you that has the problem. Not clearly that other person has the problem, but it's you that it's a lot of reflection and inward thinking that you have to do.
Not one of them could say, "Don't call me that." I can't. And I shouldn't be punished.
Oh, no, they could. They just, depending on which part of which generation you're talking about, the consequences are different, you know? And plus you did say, "Don't call me that." And you didn't have a problem. It's when you use the word itself, it came back and bit you on the ass.
Punished because I have the right to tell somebody not to call me this word.
MMSD's Board of Education president writes in a statement that while racial slurs have no place in schools, quote, "We have also heard from the community about the complexity involved, and it's our duty to examine it." In the meantime, Anderson sees the power of his students' and supporters' words pouring in on social media, now helping him.
Regardless of whatever the future holds for me with the MMSD, I know that I touched a lot of kids.
Wait. Jesus, seriously. Shh. Okay, so deal is that I don't think you ever want to end anything with "I touched a lot of kids," but that's just my own little personal preference. Deal is that you sat here, begged for the N-word to become this taboo thing, and it became this taboo thing, and it did kind of come back and bite you in the ass, Mr. Anderson. All right. So with that being said, we're gonna bring this one to an end. All the internet stuff. If you liked it, toss it a like. Dislike, yeah, go ahead and do that too. I ain't scared. Sub if you enjoy my fantastic voice and you want to give videos like this every single day. Share because sharing is caring. And YouTube and BitChute and they don't like me that much, but it's okay. You do. And speak. Let me know, what do you think in the comments? Is this comeuppance for the Negro population? Because now you have more instances of people, quote unquote, of color getting called out and getting shot down for using words that were once were once a privilege only for us, but now equality and everything, right? I'm just saying. So with that being said, until the next one.